Welcome to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my various co-hosts, Vern Glenn, FP Santangelo Jr., and Russell Jackman. And Vern is pointing to his Virginia Cavaliers hat.
That's right.
Okay, then there's a reason for that.
Might be a 4th seed when the dance starts.
All right, that'd be awesome. Okay, today's trivia theme is baseball's over easy. Sounds like something I cook in the kitchen. When we come back, we've got a bunch of different things. There's a little bit about the Live Tour. Jeff Bezos is he still potentially buying the Commanders? Or what's going on with that? Who knows?
It was hot the last time we talked, but then things have kind of quieted down. But the new NFL season starts mid-March, so we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Also want to talk, a little bit about the Warriors. I know this is a national show, but of course we like our hometown boys a little bit. But there is stuff to talk about them. And John Morant, man, it's just so frustrating. This guy's got so much talent, and then you see I don't want to say completely going off the rails, but his immaturity is showing. And Derek Carr, did he go to the Saints?
Oh yes.
Oh yes. Okay.
Let's go marching in.
And yeah, say some more. And by the way, Vern, for some reason your audio
it's once per show, which I think
it always kind of kicks in and out.
I think this means we're gonna have a good show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of, for some reason, just kind of comes out. Maybe just yell into the microphone. That'll help.
If I yell like this, can you hear me?
Kind of, yeah.
It's still a little bit lighter, but yes, we can hear you. Yeah. And then Geno Smith, holy smokes, going from a backup quarterback to $105 million. Show me the money. All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, still providing mortgage investments yielding over 7%. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman. I did that in a different order because Vern came out and then came back in, and on the Zoom, he's on a different panel now. All right. Hey, let's start off with John Morant, because it's crazy. What does he do? He goes into some kind of a club and he waves a gun, but apparently it's not the first time there's been an issue with a gun. Something to do with a basketball game in his backyard with a neighbor kid or something. You hear about all that?
Oh yeah.
I scantily read the story. At the bottom line, error in judgment. I mean, John Morant has a lot of followers. He has a lot of influence. He's a star in the league, and so when he makes this poor judgment by flexing with a gun, that just sends the wrong message. He probably knew it as soon as he did. He probably, what am I thinking? And then once it went viral, then he really knew it was trouble. So
I'll tell you this, Edward, and this is just my hypothesis here. It's never a good thing when you have athlete and gun next to each other. And
but it worked out so well. It's worked out so well for Gilbert Arenas and Plaxico Burress.
Yeah, exactly. But think about it on every fundamental level, okay? It's even bad on social media when there's a guy that's hunting for pheasant or hunting for deer and they have a gun with them, okay? Yeah. Anytime it's athlete plus gun equals controversy at any level.
And I get the fact that a lot of these guys might feel like, hey, I got to protect myself because people are, going to be after me for my money or whatever. And I kind of get that. But you don't go into a place and wave it.
Exactly. But just at every single level, athlete plus gun equals bad. It's never a good thing because they think with all the gun controversy recently, right? Yeah. And then if you're hunting game, some activist group will come after you. Yeah. If you can't be waving stuff in a club first and foremost, that's ridiculous. But on every single fundamental level, gun plus athlete equal bad. And I'm saying this as somebody who, my dad, he owned a gun to protect my family because we did have some kind of crazy people try to break into our house before. So he got a shotgun and all that, but we didn't publicize it.
No, you just
right.
Exactly.
And that's just kind of how you have to do those things. So it's just a very, very green young move. But this guy is set to make $300 million at the end of the season. John Morant's gonna be the prime, signee of the Memphis Grizzlies, and he's their franchise.
Yeah.
And you have this guy that's got all this controversy surrounding him. There's another controversy with him going to a mall trying to protect his mom from a security guard, a mall security guard, which that doesn't make a lot of sense. But it sounds to me like this guy probably just has some bad people around him. But at the end of the day, he makes his own decisions, and he needs to figure it out because he's losing millions of dollars with every single situation that happens.
Yeah, in the spirit of Sports Econ 101, you just wonder how much that's going to cost him. If he was in line for, say, maybe like a $300 million payday, could cost him half.
I was going to say, because he was suspended for 2 games, but then they kind of said, well, that's like the start. I mean, how many more games? And it's tough because, you know, if you're the Grizzlies, you want him on the court because he is a superstar. I mean, you can just tell the way he moves. It's just awesome. But, you know, then how much does the league come into it compared to the team?
You know how crazy it is to say that he's one of the most talented individuals I've seen come out of the NBA in like a decade, which is crazy. Just all assets he has. He's just a freak athlete. Yeah. He's probably the best athlete I've seen in the NBA in my lifetime. That's how crazy he is. Yeah. Besides LeBron when he was young, but Ja Morant is just different. You can tell he's different. So it's very sad to see this. Like, I wish him tons of success. Yeah. And I hope this is like a part of the biography is like, yeah, man, I was just messing with some wrong people, but then I went on to win a championship.
Yeah, how many
times as an attorney, is he doing the right thing by just taking it head on? Because that's what he's been doing.
Well, you know, I guess the biggest thing is that he hasn't really told anyone why he did this or what this was, why he was waving the gun around or anything like that. Again, as I pointed out, the prior examples of Gilbert Arenas. Do you guys remember Gilbert Arenas?
Of course.
Yeah.
Situation. And then Plaxico Burress shows you exactly what you can do when you do wave the gun around and have it go off.
And what can happen, for those who don't know, shot himself, right?
Correct, in a nightclub. You know, but he brought it into a nightclub, and I mean, he obviously does not need it for protection because nobody's been threatening him. And you can only have things go wrong. I mean, I do think it is something that's going to be an image problem for him. I think, you know, there's that one side where you want to look tough, you want to look street, and you want to, you know, have street cred by having, you know, showing that you've got that kind of firepower with you. But I think to the general American, they're going to say, you know, this is not someone I want my kid to grow up to be like.
Yeah, but you know what? His basketball skills should be doing all the talking for him. He shouldn't have to prove anything to anybody. And
right.
You know, how many times does it really have to do with the crowd you're hanging around? You know, they always say bad morals corrupt good ones. The good ones don't change the bad ones to good, you know?
Usually when those guys go clubbing, the club like reserves a sectioned off area for them.
Yeah.
So nobody bothers them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't own a gun, you know, and I, as a father of 2 kids, I feel like I owe it to them not to have something like that in the house. And
yeah. Oh, you're cutting it out a little bit. You know, it's funny. My brother came up with this idea. He said, instead of having a gun, you know how if you ever had a wasp's nest and it's like, you know, you want to stay as far away from it, but you got to get it. There's this spray that is really toxic, so to speak. And you spray it and you go like 20 feet. And he says, you know what? He goes, have that under your bed. And if anybody comes close to you, I mean, you spray that in their face.
You spray them.
That'll just, it's almost like mace, except it can go a lot further.
Wow.
This is, I mean, obviously, if you're in a deadly situation, that's only going to help so much. But I can appreciate the fact, Russell, you know, if you got 2 young kids, even if you have stuff locked up, you know, you want to
only go wrong. You can only have, and really, I mean, we're all, I mean, not FP Junior, but we're all in our, you know, 50 plus life range right now. Have you needed a gun to take care of anything other than hunting? If you've done that sort of thing, you know,
no, the odds of you needing it are very small. You know that it's one of those things, I guess, you know, if you need it at the time you want it, but if you don't, then, you know.
I guess. I think America's got a real sickness when it comes to guns. I really think it does.
I will say this, Russ, though, if we have enough time. I did have some teammates, unfortunately. I went to Sacramento City College, right? And I had some teammates that came from really bad situations in Vallejo, and they had to carry guns, they felt like, for their safety, because whenever they're going to the grocery store or whether they're going to the gas station, they felt like they needed protection. So we just, like, I'm blessed and lucky I didn't need that in my life, right? And I grew up in a great spot. But a lot of these kids kind of grow up like that. And a lot of these guys come from neighborhoods like that in the NBA. Funny enough, John Morant comes from the suburbs, and that's why a lot of people are clowning him.
Yeah.
He's trying to kind of prove he's one of those.
He's trying to prove that he grew up hard. But I know kids, trust me, that it's really, really bad situation, and they need that protection.
All right.
Can you imagine if they put those airport security things outside of clubs now, and the guy almost in comedic fashion, he's got to take the gun out of his coat pocket, the gun out of his ankle holder, the gun out of his
exactly
side pocket.
Okay, hey guys, we're going to get to our first trivia question here. We're talking about baseballs and we're easy. Okay, in 2003, the GOAT supposedly got to the Chicago Cubs again in their quest for a World Series. In the NLCS against the Marlins, an unnamed fan was involved, and unnamed meaning Steve Bartman, was involved in controversy on whether he interfered with a fly ball down the left field line. This was the blame given to the Cubs for losing the series. Seen time and time again in replays, who was the left fielder who didn't come up with the ball?
Okay.
Remember that?
That's a good question.
You guys remember
that's a good
one.
one.
Hard. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, along with F.P. Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman. Our first trivia question: in 2003, the GOAT supposedly got to the Chicago Cubs once again in their quest for a World Series. In the NLCS against the Marlins, an unnamed fan was involved in a controversy on whether he interfered with a ball down the left field line. This was the blame given to the Cubs for losing the series. Seen time and time again in replays, who was that left fielder who didn't come up with the ball?
Moisés Alou.
Moisés Alou, that's right.
Happy knew that. Hey, and who was the manager? Who was the manager?
Dusty Baker.
Dusty Baker.
Yeah. Hey, there we go. All right, and then, you know what? If you look at that, and they did a whole documentary on it. If Moisés Alou hadn't been so upset and just like made no big deal out of it, Steve Bartman probably wouldn't have had to change his complete life.
Yeah, but Moisés Alou, if you got to know him, unfortunately I did, because he was actually a very good friend of my dad's, and my dad played with him in Montreal.
Yeah,
he just runs on that motor, man. He's just a fiery dude.
I'm not blaming you. I mean, obviously you could see why. I mean, you could see why he could be so upset.
He'd probably be like that if the fan wasn't there too. Like he'd probably be like, I should have caught that, and probably would have done the same thing. So.
It's funny because his dad, Philippe, seemed kind of.
Oh, Felipe he's Yoda. He's Yoda. He's
exactly.
One of the coolest, chillest we could talk to.
I used to love watching him play. And Vern, what did you say Moises used to do?
He reportedly would relieve himself on his bare hands to help him get some sort of firm grip on the bat.
I wonder how he figured that out.
This is confirmed, by the way. It helps create calluses, and everybody would talk about this in college because it's really funny, but it's true. Apparently, if you do pee on your hands and after you have some blisters, it creates stronger calluses. So we'd all joke, like, go in the shower and pee on your hands. That's what we would tell each other.
Oh, wow.
All you see.
I used to work with this guy who, he looked like your typical nerd. Okay. Yeah. And he said he lived like in the Tenderloin, which for those who don't know is like the Harlem of San Francisco. It's a bad area, right? And I said, wow. I said, do you carry any weapons? And he goes, no, I'm a 5th degree black belt. Really? And then I shook his hand, and they're like hard as rocks. And I go, wow, is that what karate does to you? He goes, no, I got this special salve that I every night I put on my hands, and he goes, and they make them hard as rocks. So I get that thing with the pee thing. It's kind of
yeah.
But
well, given the story about Moisés Alou, next time I see somebody that says, "Look how hard I work. Look at these calluses."
Yeah.
I'll think twice about shaking his hand.
That's pretty good. I like that one.
Yeah,
All
get a high, I guess that's where the elbow bashing works much better. You know, you don't have that problem.
Yeah, just give him one of those. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Derek Carr to the Saints and Geno Smith going from backup quarterback to $105 million man.
Well,
Oh.
Derek Carr, he's the first free agent domino to fall, and he was the first when the Raiders released him. He was an automatic free agent, the way the terms of his contract read, and so he gets reunited with Dennis Allen, who was his very first NFL coach when he was drafted by the Raiders. And sometimes a change of scenery can do you good. Probably FP's dad can tell you about that. And hey, more power to him. And he won't have trouble buying beignets in the Big Easy with a $150 million deal with $100 million guaranteed.
Yeah, and I think on the signing bonus is 60 million. So as soon as that ink dried up, 60 million right in the bank. That must
Bam.
Boom.
Bam.
I wouldn't want that because I wouldn't want to pay the taxes on it.
Yeah, that's true. No, people do that.
How are taxes in Louisiana?
Well, federal. I'm thinking federal. I don't
Oh.
That's funny you say that, though. There's guys that specifically want to do their contracts differently so they get taxed a lot easier over time, right?
Yeah,
but there
are ways to do that.
Yeah, there's ways around it.
But not get paid in Bitcoin from the get-go.
Yeah.
Right.
My favorite loophole, which, I mean, this is kind of sinister, so I'm sorry to kind of break this deal for people, but a lot of these athletes have their own charities, right? Yeah. And there's a reason why they have these charities.
Not the Brett Favre charity.
Well, these charities are to get massive tax breaks, like massive, right? Well, that's why they run all these nonprofits.
So the way it works, unless they change the rules, a regular 501c3, you could do 50% of your income. But the thing is, there's all kinds of things that add back into the income. You can't take it all because of percentages and all that stuff. But on a private foundation, it's 20%. In some cases, it's 30. And I don't remember the difference between 20 and 30. So, I mean, it shields some of it.
Yeah. And there's a reason why when you go into, I don't know, the Costco or whatever, right? Trying to think of a big national brand, that it says, please donate to volunteers, please donate to the child hospital, because they get a tax break for that when you're donating money.
Wait, the donor, like John Q. Public gets a tax break, or Costco as a whole gets the tax
Costco
break?
As a whole gets a tax break.
Where'd you hear that?
Oh, it's widely reported on the internet. It's really, really interesting. They get a massive corporate tax break because they're helping with donations.
Interesting.
There's something I don't understand. If I am the guy who's actually donating to the Children's Hospital.
No. The corporation is Costco as a whole, because they have a partnership with that nonprofit.
But they're not claiming the money I give them as income.
Yeah. They're not claiming it as income, but that money goes straight to the charity or the cancer.
I hear you. So they're facilitating it. But okay, so basically they're taking the deduction instead of me personally.
Yes.
Wow.
Couldn't you claim that as a personal
deduction? Well,
if
if you're giving the money to Costco to give to them, no.
Costco is the one that's donating that money. Yeah, it puts it in a pool and they donate it to the charities or wherever you go, right? Walmart, all that stuff.
How about I think everyone should donate to the Edward Brown Fiji Island Fund, and then of course donate the money to.
I will say this straight up. That's why I don't donate when I'm in Costco. I don't add those extra $2 or $3 because I know I'm giving that large corporation a tax break, and I don't. That doesn't sit right with me.
Hey, Edward, I have a question.
Yes.
If you buy an island, like let's just say you bought that little patch of an island just to the right of the Richmond San Rafael Bridge.
Yes,
yeah, right there. If you buy that, okay, are you paying taxes on that? Can you even
real estate
build on
taxes?
that?
I guess you pay real estate taxes, right?
Yeah, and that island is actually part of 3 different counties.
Yeah, I mean, I know that. I think Vern was just trying to give a generic one, just to get
Right.
I know, so that's even more complicated.
It's just a generic island. If you buy a generic island, you're saying you have to pay taxes. Well, you probably have to pay real estate taxes, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's just like buying a house or any other vacation home. You pay the real estate taxes.
Right.
Yeah, but what about these guys that they have? Oh, I got this island in the Bahamas, or someplace tropical like that.
Well, I don't know what the tax laws are in the Bahamas. So, but you got to think that almost every county, in the world probably has some real estate tax, because that's
Right.
on the infrastructure. But then there may be some specific tax benefits of, throwing your income offshore. That's all. That's for another day. And then how about Geno Smith going from a backup quarterback to $105 million?
Good for him.
Yeah.
He's the guy that once famously said, they wrote me off and I didn't write back. And he came back and he put up some numbers. And you know what? Good for him. I mean, he's earned, even in back pay, he's earned every penny that he got.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the talent, and a lot of it, it's not a one-man show. You have to have people behind you, or in front of you in this case.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the season last year. I mean, he was throwing dime after dime with very little offense that they had, right? I mean, there's a reason why Russell Wilson left, among other reasons, right? The whole relationship there. But yeah, it's really, really cool to see him kind of grow. And it's actually a perfect situation for the Seahawks too, because believe it or not, they save a lot of cap money with this kind of cheaper contract, and they have a starting quarterback. So they're kind of in a weird rebuild phase anyway. So they're going to be able to compete, right, at somewhat of a high level. But I mean, it's cool. It's awesome. This is what fires me up. But the two ones I think that could transform the NFL, the two dominoes, of course, are Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson. If Lamar Jackson goes somewhere else, oh my goodness, that's going to
pay the man,
pay him, right? And we could talk about this, Sports Econ 101. He's his own agent. This is crazy.
Right.
This is one of the first deals where it's somebody in their prime where they can make record-breaking money, and he's negotiating his own contract. Now, we've seen it with like Richard Sherman, right? But he's on the back half of his career.
Yeah.
It wasn't that lucrative of a deal, and he made his very incentive-laden so that way he can stay with the 49ers and stay with a competitive team. But this is like crazy if you think about it. Absolutely nuts.
It is. And New York Giants release wide receiver Kenny Golladay 2 years after signing a $72 million contract, waiting until March 15th so they can save $6.7 million against their salary cap.
Yeah, because March 15th, the new NFL season starts.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay, guys, I got another trivia question I think you'll know the answer to. We're talking baseball's over easy. Trying to mimic the New York Yankees of old, which team went to 5 World Series in the 1990s? Right?
Other than the Yankees.
Well, they're saying trying to mimic the New York Yankees of old. So I don't think the Yankees actually went to the World Series in the 1990s 5 times. Probably 4 times, I think. I'd have to look that up. But
okay.
The Yankees are not the answer. Okay, so which team went to 5 World Series in the 1990s? Stay with us, Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman. So here's our second trivia question. Trying to mimic the New York Yankees of old, which team, and I guess just because they went to the World Series a lot, right? Which team went to 5 World Series in the 1990s?
The Atlanta Braves.
The Atlanta Braves, exactly. That's right.
I was going to say the Toronto Blue Jays, but because
they went back to back, 92, 93.
Yeah, they went back to back.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. I think they only won 1, didn't they?
The Braves?
Yeah.
They should have won more.
Yeah. It's funny.
Talented teams.
I was rooting for Cleveland Indians back then, so bad.
Yeah, that was great. And for us in this market, it was great when Deion Sanders was playing both baseball and football. We just thought that we just thought that was just the greatest thing in the same market. So
think that'll ever happen again with all the load management and everything that goes on now.
You get some kind of a superstar, a Bo Jackson type, right?
I mean, Kyler Murray was going to be the closest one.
Yeah, with the insurance and just I don't know. I think those days are over.
Could be. Who was the other one? FB.
Well, Kyler Murray tried to do it most recently because he got drafted by the Oakland A's in the first round, and he said he was going to ride those minor league buses. But then I think he wanted to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I think that's a little bit better than riding those buses and eating peanut butter and jellies.
Probably made the right decision. Yes. Yeah. Okay, moving on here. The live golfers are now apparently now this I put this together before we did our show last time. And I don't know what it's up to date here. The live golfers are now allowed to play in all 4 majors after all. Is that still the case? Remember how they were going to get shunned?
Oh yeah, I think they were always allowed to. I don't think that's like breaking news. I think they were always allowed.
I think yeah, just the majors. They could compete in British Open and Masters.
Okay, so it was just being on the tour that they were going to.
But yeah, an actual PGA Tour event, no.
Okay. Yeah. So then, staying on with the live golf events, apparently when you go to a live golf event, your senses are assaulted by music blaring on the course and at post-round concerts. The galleries are rowdy. The players wear shorts, and CEO Greg Norman throws beers to the spectators. So it's a kind of a more of a fun event. But apparently, I guess the Saudis are getting their shorts handed to them. They're not making the money that they were hoping to make.
Good, but they'll just raise our gas prices up to make up for it.
Well, my gosh, Edward! I mean, look at the size of these purses.
Yeah,
there's this guaranteed money for making appearances. I mean, it's just I don't know who was in the room when they were.
They're going to probably offer $9 billion to Vince McMahon for the WWE. There's talk that they're trying to come up with $9 billion to buy the WWE from Vince, who at nearly 80 years old. I don't know what he's going to do with $9 billion.
Well, his daughter runs a lot of it, doesn't she?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know if I were any of these golfers, not that I don't trust the Saudi Arabian regime, but I would want to see the money wired in my bank account before I show up. Because who knows if they're.
I think it is. I think
is it okay? Smart.
I mean, they wouldn't be showing up to the golf tournaments otherwise. You know what I mean?
I wish we just
don't worry. I promise I'll pay you at the end.
Well, the 2 interesting things. Okay, so the Live Golf actually had a win recently. They forced the PGA to do a similar cut style, right? So now they're cutting more people on the first day of the golf tournament. The PGA is so they're copying Live, right, which is a form of flattery. So this whole, if it doesn't work out, the Live has changed the PGA forever. So this is a huge win for them morally, right? Number 2, very interesting. They do teams, right, in the Live Golf tournament, and you can't wear individual sponsors. So your team can only be sponsored, but these players are losing a lot of sponsor revenue money, and they don't have as much sponsor money coming in because the team can only wear one specific sponsor. So not individual golfer like in the past.
Yeah, so
they're still making more money though. They're still making more money.
Who needs a sponsor when you're getting paid $100 million?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but if you're walking around, let's say there's a handful of golfers and they're sponsored by Workday, and they're walking around with those little Workday caps. You're saying that only one team can wear the Workday?
Yeah, whatever the team sponsors. It's similar to Major League Baseball or the NBA, right? When they have the sponsors on their jerseys, they're doing that.
Who decides the two? You said they teamed up, so it's like 2 players decide.
I think it's teams of 3. I could be wrong.
Okay, so the 3 guys have to get together and say that we have these various sponsors. Which one do we want to?
I think probably the sponsors decide.
Oh, the Live. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I would guess.
And it's interesting. What do you do if you have a sponsor you don't really align with? I guess you sort of bite the bullet and just.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of NBA players and stuff like that don't even know what their sponsor means.
Yeah,
a lack of liberty with the Saudis. Well, who would have thought that?
Yeah. It's like, like let's say you're a Mormon player and Jack Daniels is the sponsor, right? You go, but I don't drink. I don't believe in drinking.
Yeah, I mean that happens.
Yeah.
Remember the Dream Team, the '92 Dream Team, and they were getting their medals, and I think the warm up suits maybe might have been Reebok, and then guys like Barkley, they're they were like Nike guys, and so they have to take a piece of athletic tape and put it over the Reebok.
do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's so funny that you say that, Vern. My dad was sponsored by Nike when he was playing baseball, and I was going through his closet of, old war treasures, and he had an Under Armour turtleneck, and the Under Armour logo was all blacked out with a Sharpie. And I was like, why is that? He's like, well, it was really cold out in Oakland, and I wanted to wear Under Armour because it's warm, so I had to black it out on TV. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
There you go. So what's the latest with the Warriors, gentlemen?
I care about the Sacramento Kings. I don't care about the Warriors. Come on, the
Sacramento Kings have been large. What are they? Are they still third?
Yes, they are. Come on, we gotta
wow.
show them respect. This is ridiculous.
They're almost about to break 500, which is something that they haven't done since the early 2000s.
Bobby Divac.
Yeah, well, they're well above 500 right now. But yeah, Russ, you're right. They're gonna break 500 for the first time this season, which is awesome.
Could not be happier for Mike Brown. Boy, he just was one of my favorites as a Warriors assistant, and now he's going up there and he's turned things around there. He's got people excited up there. What's the slogan up there? Light the beam.
Yeah,
light the beam.
Light the beam.
That's right. Yeah,
awesome.
There it is.
I went to a game in Sacramento, and some of the most loyal fans in sports, by the way, they don't get their credit around the country.
I used to live in Sacramento. That's when I went to law school, and my first year in Sacramento in law school, I had the privilege of watching them lose 41 straight road games.
Yeah.
And, and yet the people in Sacramento have still stuck by that team. And they've gone through absolutely the worst times that any sports fan could go through in the 2000s. So it reminds me a lot of the Warriors fans that stayed with the team during the whole, 14 years.
If you were in Sacramento, you only had to watch them on TV if they were losing road games, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But so, well, like no matter how bad the team is, like 60% of the crowd is filled. It's awesome, no matter how bad the team is. So they're very, very loyal fans. But in the fourth quarter, with about 2 minutes left, and it's clear that the Kings are going to win, everybody in the stadium starts chanting, "Light the beam, light the beam." It gives you goosebumps. And then they take the player of the game after, whoever it is who scored the most points or the biggest shot or whatever, and they press the button at center court, and it goes, the whole stadium gets dark and turns purple, and then it's like a laser beam shoots up. And then you can go to the front of the stadium, and they have this huge beam that you can see for miles. Like I can see it like 30 miles away. It's such a genius idea.
You know what? Maybe that's one of those beams you can see from space, like from the Luxor Hotel, I think it is. So there's a beam that goes. It's like there's certain things in space, like the Great Wall of China, and one of them is the beam.
It's impressive how far you can see it. Like it's
what a great marketing campaign.
Yeah.
I was just recently at spring training, and right in the Giants clubhouse is Rockland resident Logan Webb, just talking about his Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, we're proud right now. We're proud of that team. It's really cool.
So Slaughter, right now as we do this show, the Warriors are 5th in the conference after a nice little perfect homestand. And then Curry joins the team. They lose at the Lakers, a game that they probably should have won, but now it's about Oklahoma City and playing out the string. They got 17 games left as we do this show, and so if they can win maybe 12 of the 17. I think they've
very hard because most of those are on. They got a bunch on the road, and they're one of the worst road teams in the NBA right now.
Well, with a road record of 7-24.
Yeah, they're truly Jekyll and Hyde. They're almost unbeatable at home, and they can't find a way to win on the road. But they keep finding themselves down by 20 in every one of these games that they've been playing. And at home, they're capable of coming back, and on the road, they just lose that. They don't have that energy to get over the top. Plus, they've been missing Andrew Wiggins for 3 weeks because of a very mysterious personal situation that no one really understands or has any clue as to why that's been going on.
When they're down 20 points, we've got them right where we want them.
Well, hey, you know what? It's the new NBA where 20-point leads go to die.
Yeah. You used to be able to turn off the game when it was a 20-point lead. You're like, third quarter, 20-point lead. There's 2 minutes left in the third. Oh, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, you hit 3-4 3-pointers. Boom! It's a game again.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We have one more minute before we have to go to our commercial trivia question.
Oof.
What's
Well, my big question is, we've seen Carr go and we've seen Smith go, but Jimmy Garoppolo still, unsigned, and the Niners are saying they're not bringing him back, and I'm surprised to see that he's still, sitting there waiting by the phone, and nobody's called and said we need him, we need you as our quarterback.
Well, you just wait till the new NFL season starts. You just wait. Once that starts, then I think you'll see more activity. But the big names will go first. The big names will go first, and then Jimmy will be wherever he's slotted. He'll be grabbed by somebody.
Don't you think Garoppolo is a big name at this point? And don't you think?
No.
Now, if someone gets hurt, then he'll rise to the top.
He's been hurt. He's been hurt too much recently, Russ. He's had success in a system that has success for all of its quarterbacks, no matter what.
Yeah.
And he's not a freak athlete where you can just plug him into an offense and he's going to be good. He's going to be kind of the last of the
numbers
dance.
That say like Derek Carr has put up.
Yeah.
You can make the argument on Carr and Garoppolo. What have they won?
No, that's true.
Carr's got the numbers.
Okay, guys, going to our last commercial trivia question here. Babe Ruth is quite well known for his times with the New York Yankees and the controversy that surrounded him being sold by the Boston Red Sox. Which was the third and only other team that Ruth played with in his major league career? Now, by the way, if I remember correctly, wasn't he like first signed by Baltimore, but immediately given to Boston? So
he's from Baltimore.
So forget Baltimore. That's not the answer, right?
City, which is just outside of Baltimore.
Okay. So basically, here's our question. Babe Ruth played for the Yankees after he played for the Red Sox, but who did he play for after the Yankees? All right, that's our trivia question. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back with some closing comments. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman. Oh, that's a mouthful. Okay, our third trivia question. Babe Ruth is quite well known for his times with the New York Yankees and the controversy that surrounded him being sold by the Boston Red Sox. Which was the third and only other team that Ruth played with in his major league career?
Wasn't it the Boston Braves?
It was the Boston Braves. Very good. And he hit if I remember correctly, he hit a home run out of Forbes Field, which was something that probably had never been done before. And he did it in the twilight of his career.
The big opportunity he did not get that he regrets is he was not given the opportunity to manage a team.
Oh, he didn't get the opportunity to manage. Yeah. Okay. Best P, yes.
Oh, just to add context to that, in 1935, he was 40 years old and had 72 at-bats for the Boston Braves.
Yeah.
6 home runs. So it was a very short stint.
Very, very short time. Okay, guys, here's our thoughts for the day. Before the crowbar was invented, the crows just drank at home.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that one. Okay, and I saw a microbiologist today. He was much bigger than I expected. That's bad. Okay, and I'm trying to organize a hide-and-seek tournament, but good players are hard to find. All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios.